reason, because they can't just let everyone set up exchanges without any controls here or any supervision or any responsibility, right?
Speaking of the kind of seamy underbelly of Bitcoin, what's your takeaway on Silk Road's demise? Does that legitimize the currency now that this kind of dark actor is out of the picture? Is that like a market opportunity for someone else to step in?
Well, I think what it has proven is Bitcoin was not reliant on Silk Road, and Silk Road was not reliant on Bitcoin. So it was great to see the myths being dispelled that all this is being used for is Silk Road transaction. I'm sure Nate can talk a bit more about it, but in terms of volume, in terms of the price, in terms of the perception, you know, yes, it may have been getting used on Silk Road, but you know what? So was the cash in your pocket, and nobody's sitting there going, hey, stop using cash. It's being used to buy drugs. So I think the divide between the two has been good. And again, it's, you know, put Bitcoin in front of the main media, whether it's a negative and positive light, but if you look at the last 2 weeks, it's only been positive for Bitcoin rather than negative.
I think we finally passed this point where someone would object that Bitcoin is used to buy drugs. And if you Google Bitcoin, I hope that all those Silk Road topics will eventually go away. So I think it's good for Bitcoin, and the recent rally or the surge in price was probably due to large institutional investors depositing money to exchanges just to buy Bitcoin because there is no Silk Road.
He bought beer and burgers yesterday. With
Yeah. You bought a burger last night in Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, I bought a burger in room 77.
Okay, so if you want to buy a burger in Bitcoin tonight, room 77.
And it was very good.
It was good? How much was it?
I paid for 2 burgers and 2 beers, and it was 0.19.
Okay. Have you bought anything else that's kind of weird in Bitcoin, or?
I bought coffee once from Colombia, I think.
So Bitcoin now, it's trading at what? You're saying like just under $200 in US dollars on your exchange. And that's like a recent local high, and you're saying, well, on top of the demise of Silk Road, there are probably a bunch of other reasons driving the recent price surge. Do you guys have any theories on that?
So I think China as a whole, you know, Baidu, and just to clarify, a division of Baidu, not, people refer to Baidu as a Google of China, so think of it, the average user doesn't pay Google any money, so the average user is not going to pay Baidu any money. But a division of it, their cloud services division, has started embracing it, so that's one good thing. But what's even more interesting, which the Western media may not have picked up on, is Chinese television have been showing a number of short programs on Bitcoin. Now let's recognize that Chinese television is state-run television. So you start seeing the education process taking place there. I think that's been very good. I think the US shutdown has been very good for Bitcoin, because whilst the two may be completely unrelated, it just goes to show that, that there are new systems coming in place, and you just can't rely. Imagine if there'd been a global bank shutdown, what were people going to do there? So I think that's had an impact on it. And then again, some renewed interest in people who are realizing that it's not really for day trading. And I just want to drop this point in there, is it's very simple with Bitcoin. It either goes to zero or it goes to many, many, many zeros. I don't know how many zeros that is. I'm pretty confident it's not just going to sit around 200. So if you can accept the fact that the worst thing that will happen is you lose X amount, whether that's $100 or $100 million that you put in Bitcoin, you only have an upside there. And I think people who are starting to embrace it, you're getting some of the large family offices, some of the large hedge funds have got huge positions. They're not going to talk about it publicly, but if you're a large fund and you've got 500 million or 5 billion in that fund, putting $1 million in Bitcoin is not the most stupidest thing that you can do, because the upside potential is so huge, and you've probably made your money by taking some form of risks, and those risks were probably likely far higher than investing in Bitcoin. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear Michael's opinion on that topic.
So as a fund, a venture capital fund such as ours doesn't do currency trading or speculative trading, which is really what this is. I have a bit of an opposite view, not that it won't go up or will. If it goes to zero, it goes to zero. But the functionality of a digital currency we can use across the net relies a little bit on stability. So if I buy something from you today and sell it tomorrow, I want to kind of imagine that it's going to be around about the same price, and your your burger, which cost 0.19 yesterday, the guy doesn't really want to be looking every hour to find out how he's going to adjust his price list for the burger. So if it's going to be a generic currency, we need to reach a trading volume and all of that where some stability comes into it, and going up and down against other currencies like a dollar against the euro, you can work with 10-15% over a period is probably okay, but these massive swings.
We're just scratching the surface of the audience potential. I mean, we just happen to be, we're at Techcrunch Disrupt in Berlin, and a lot of people here have heard of it. Let's take the masses, the 7 or 8 billion people on the streets. They have no idea. And if you then look at developing nations in Africa, where they went from no money as such to embracing M-Pesa, which is sending money on the mobile phones,
but
not on their smartphones.
Because there was one carrier that held disproportionate market share there. Right. What's your feeling now? Is your feeling that Bitcoin has enough momentum behind it to be, kind of like the de facto or like leading math-based currency, or is it a precursor to something else that is of similar design but maybe is a little bit different, like the Ripple or something like that?
I think it's pretty obvious that we've reached critical mass already. I mean, the widespread of news about Bitcoin is just on an enormous scale. I remember back in 2011, you hardly read anything about Bitcoin before the bubble. After the bubble, it was a bit different. But right now, and also, you both forgot to mention that Second Market also launched Bitcoin Investment Trust, which was a huge step forward.
Yeah.
Does the end user actually need to know it's Bitcoin? They need a mechanism, so it could be a unit of X. The fact that the platform and technology being used is Bitcoin, to me, feels irrelevant to the end user. All they want to do is be able to pick up their phone and send you the $18 or whatever that they owe you, and know that it's going to arrive to you instantaneously, without Western Union taking 30% share for transacting that money. I think that's what the end user expects, and technology will get us to a stage where maybe Bitcoin becomes an invisible mechanism in the background.
Are there any patterns that you're seeing to how it's being adopted? Because right now it seems a bit random. It's like this Baidu division starts accepting it, and then there's a hamburger place that you can...
Sorry?
Like, it seems a bit random with how it's being adopted, just by people who are kind of interested or enthusiastic about it. But
I think that's true. We're definitely at the beginning. There's a lot of opportunities. We're at Techcrunch Disrupt, where there are a lot of startups here and things. The field's it's not even started this yet. So what we're seeing now is almost noise. I mean, with your trading volume, millions of dollars a day is okay, but if you're a real trader, you're 1,000 times that before you're even significant in London or something. So we're still absolutely at the beginning of this. There's so many things you can do.
As is always the case, and if you look back over the last 10 or 15 years, there are two industries nobody likes talking about. They need to embrace Bitcoin, which is the adult industry and the online gambling industries. If you look at the adult industry, payments, mobile payments, video streaming, subscription services, recurring revenue, a lot of these came from the adult industry, and also the gaming industries, and by that I'm not referring to the Zingers of this world.
Are you helping any of your portfolio companies make that happen?
AAA, and I'm not an investor in either of those two industries, but you will see those adopting them, and I know for a fact they're all looking at this. It's just when's the right time for them to adopt it, and then people then have the comfortable element of having used it in an environment. Then they go, oh well, that worked on this. I managed to gamble online or do some transactions. Why can't I use it to buy a book at Amazon? I think that's where you'll see a shift. Or it takes one of the large global or even one of the multinational types to embrace Bitcoin, and I think it'd be best done on digital products rather than physical products because of margins. So let's take Amazon, for example, were to embrace Bitcoin. Say, well, if you pay with Bitcoin, you get a discount on the ebook because there are no third-party transaction fees. I think it needs a moment, a tipping point like that before we go to the next level.
What's preventing large players like Amazon from adopting or accepting it? I mean, is it primarily the regulatory concern right now?
I think a number of things. Regulatory is one. Two, there's Bitstamp and there's a couple of other exchanges which are trading right now, but put yourself in the shoes of a CFO or a chief compliance officer at a large publicly listed multi-billion-dollar company. How can you encourage your customers to use something which you don't even know yourself if it's going to work? I mean, right now there are days that it's actually easier to get on a plane and go to Slovenia and find these guys going, hey, I want to buy some coins, than trying to buy online. I know they try and make it easy, but the whole process of the wallet, the verification stuff is so cumbersome that we need a lot of this friction removing before the end user will embrace using it on a day-to-day basis.
Yep. So what's the buying process, right? Like if I want to participate in your exchange, like, and I know nothing about Bitcoin, I mean, what is that process like now?
Sorry?
If I have yet, if I'm a Bitcoin newcomer and I want to start trading on your exchange, how difficult is the process to register and get on there?
Well, first of all, you have to verify your account.
Yeah.
That's in place to prevent money laundering and financial terrorism. So you have to verify your account, you deposit funds to Bitstamp, and as soon as your deposit hits our account, we credit your account and you can start trading right away. So it's very simple. And then once you have Bitcoins on your balance, you can withdraw them to your phone, your online wallet, or your computer, whatever. You can even store it on a piece of paper.
Okay.
It's very modular. You can do. If you have a good memory, you can also memorize the private key, and you can.
It's a very long private key.
A very long private key. Okay, well, guys, thank you so much for sharing time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.